Last week I talked to you about the experience I had having a miscarriage 8 years ago. And I sent you to a blog post from there that talked about the experience and where I am in my life right now. But today what I want to talk about is that immediate year after that experience. Because if you're going through the yuck right now, the before and 8 years later might not be very helpful. The number one emotion I experienced that immediate year after the miscarriage was anger. I was angry at the world, I was angry at my body, I was angry when I was at work. Now, if you worked with me at that point in my career, you never would have noticed this. I wasn't walking around flipping over tables in business meetings or anything like that. I was sailing smoothly above the surface. I was fortunate to get pregnant soon after the miscarriage, but that didn't diminish my desire to move into a new role and to remove myself from the situation I was in professionally. My dream job did come available at that time. It was to be the director of alumni relations at my business school. I have never visualized being in a role as much as I did that one. I pictured myself coming back from maternity leave to a new world and this new role that I'm highly qualified for and have the most experience for. I interviewed for that role when I was 20 weeks pregnant. By 25 weeks, I hadn't heard anything, not unusual. By 30 weeks, still nothing. I was pretty sure it was a done deal. 35, nothing. 37 weeks pregnant, my phone rang. It was the hiring manager asking me to meet up. Now, for those of you who have ever hired someone, you know that's not how that phone call goes. I said, well, we better do it quick. She said, why? I said, I'm going to have a baby any day now. We got together and I heard words about why I wasn't selected for that job. And the anger just continued. I did have Katie a week later, and 10 days postpartum, I interviewed for yet another job, which I don't recommend anyone do. I wasn't selected for that job. So here I am sitting at home with a newborn. I had tried so many things over the last year to move myself forward professionally, and none of it worked. And I should be at the happiest in my life holding this beautiful baby girl, but I'm just sad. And I remember nights sitting in her rocker at 2 a.m. and she's crying, and I just sat there and I cried right along with her because I felt so sad inside. One memory that singed in my mind is when my husband and I were doing the changing of the guards outside the baby's room one night, and he looked at me and he said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I'm just so sad." I said, "I've done so much over the last year to try to figure out my next step, and nothing seems to be working." And I just stood there in his embrace and cried it out for a while. A few weeks later, my phone did ring. It was from a person who I brought into the year of yuck with me. I explained to him all the things I was going through, my professional dreams, and this person said, "I think I have something for you. But here's a caveat. It requires evenings, weekends, and travel, and I know you're at home with a newborn." My response was, "Tell me more." That's the job I interviewed for my first day back from maternity leave. It's the job I ended up starting a couple months after that. And it's one that took me all over the country to meet amazing people and do amazing things. Once again, I know there's a lesson in this whole path, but it didn't diminish the anger and sadness I experienced in that immediate year after. What I'd like you to do is look at the people across from you at your next business meeting a little differently. If you're wondering what's going on with them, they might be having something happening below the surface. Use this to channel your empathy and compassion, just to let people know that you're there for them no matter what might be going on in their life. It makes a huge difference for people who are in the throes of that really terrible time in their life. Thanks for listening to part 2 of this story. I plan to be back here next week with more of an upbeat tone, but for now, remember that a little bit of empathy, a little bit of compassion goes a long way. Thank you.